Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Chris. This is Horse Racing Manager. It's been a while. It's been a month or so since my last update. And it's been a rough Christmas period, New Year. My wife did come over for Christmas, but sadly, due to visa issues, she's had to go back to the US. We still haven't got a visa for her to come over here permanently. And I'm still looking at ways around that for, whether it's selling the house and putting that money up and sort of moving in with somebody else for a time being, just to kind of get that money in the bank and let it sit for 6 months so I can use that as the proof that the government doesn't need to give her any money during that initial visa, which will allow her to work, which is the only way this is going to work, is if she can work. So it's either me finding a job that pays enough to bypass requirements, her getting a job that is willing to sponsor her and bypasses financial requirements, or getting the money in the bank, which satisfies those requirements that way. So, yeah, a bit of a palaver, really, really tough. It's not easy being on the other continent. Been married a decade. She came over for the 10th year anniversary, and so really tough saying goodbye to her. Luckily, a day or two before that, my dad finally got released from hospital after 6 or 7 weeks of being in. And, if you haven't caught any of the updates, he was in a coma. Lots of bad things kind of going on. No real explanation of how this all happened, but, he was in. It looked really bad. We were really kind of worried and scared for a while. And it kind of made me reimagine and rethink a lot of things um, as well at that point. And also kind of ruled out me going back to the US permanently, because my parents are at an age where their health are declining, and you know I got two step parents and my two parents, and none of them are amazing right now in terms of health, and that's not likely to get any better long term, is it? So kind of couples in with my wife's visa issue, and you know that's really tough at this point, but it was nice having my dad come out of hospital, finally be home, looking like there's no long term effects that we can see right now. It's still a long road ahead for recovery and, building up the fitness and strength and everything that he had before. He was very active before, and this is probably going to take a couple of months to do that. Um, so, yeah, and he's got a grandchild on the way with my stepbrother as well. So it's a lot, really, going on in life over the last month. So that's kind of where I've been, what's been going on, and why things have been so crazy. I haven't been able to focus on anything here. But hey, all that aside, I'm glad to be back. I thank you for your patience. If you're new around here, welcome in. My life is crazy, and I don't like to talk about it too much, but I feel that anytime I have to step away for a while, I know I don't need to explain it, but I personally do feel I need to. I owe an explanation at least. You're buying in to the channel and to me, and if I disappear with no heads up, I'm gonna want to let you know why. So, right, Horse Racing Manager. One of the downsides of stepping away for a month is this development team. They tend to go hard and make some big changes. And the first thing, I haven't even looked at anything, by the way. No notes since my last video at all. But one of the first things I see is this is new art, and I really kind of like it. I've gone from not being a fan of the art style initially in this game, very pixel art, very kind of retro. Um, but yeah, like stuff like that. There's just a charm to it that I'm really, really digging. And it also harkens back to an era of racing that I wasn't around for. I never saw. And to be honest, I only learned about in the last 10 or so years. And that would be like the 1970s in US racing. And this is very indicative of it. I think modern racing does not look like that anymore. But back then, Secretariat, Kentucky Derby, The book The Race by Eunice Walkup and Oscar Otis, which, I really love. They that's the reason why I love the Kentucky Derby, is that book, and then learning about Secretariat's history and watching the film, which I understand is, a stylized version of that, but still, it all brings into this like era of racing that I absolutely adore and doesn't exist anymore. There's a lot more money, there's a lot more corporations, a lot more sponsorship, there's a lot more technology. I feel like this game and this artwork really harkens back to those days. Um, and so yeah, I do dig it. I know it's a bugbear for people. I fully get that and understand that. But overall, I just think that it really works for me. So I believe the last update I looked at was the 0.8. Now we're on 0.3.2. We got some catching up to do. Let's go to the changelog and kind of see. There it goes. Yeah, so this is the last one we did. These are out of order. That's fun. Okay. Is it just taking its time? I think it might be taking some. I'm just going to scroll down. So 0.8. So there was a bunch of different things, and we just introduced the heirs and families and dating sim and other bits like that. So, and traits as well, I remember. So let's move up to 801. New race engine, work in progress. My God, I missed the new race engine by hours. Oh, that hurts. But hey, at least we get to explore it in a much more complete version, I guess. Hopefully. Missing organic feel in the middle of the race. Sometimes horses get stuck without trying to resolve it. Not grouping still as good as they should. Time's not balanced. Current skills considered are still just speed, stamina, strength, acceleration than the jockey. Sim and live race not used the same way, so times and results will differ. And the stamina and distance preference are detached. Okay. But the CPU does judge the distance preference a little better. Okay. 802, context menu, choose what to scout instead of just random. What roll to quick hire for or negotiate for. Okay. Negotiate with staff to change role. That's good. I've been sacking them and rehire them, so that's good. Clicking main breeding table. It was something to show an error of the first horse. Yeah, I've seen that. I'm glad that's fixed. Mare got pregnant, was not removed from the stable, so the second table is not reset. Yeah, that's part of the same issue, I think. I was seeing those kind of combined during breeding. But starting don't reset the tables, you can faster breed other mares. Cool. Like that. Nice. Yeah, I have no problems with those at all. Good fixes. New experimental race engine moved to main branch to stop blocking releases. Okay, new training system. Fully overhauls how training works. Weekly schedules, yearly schedules, these weekly programs, and then assign the horse to a yearly schedule. I've got an entirely new mechanic to learn. Okay. Training programs be exported, imported, shared with friends. I like that. It's a bit of a football manager type of feel to that, I guess, where I'm used to doing that. Especially in FM24, I did build my own training schedules, focusing on different things than what the game kind of gave you as its default packages, or what would be recommended by the AI assistant that you hired. So, yeah. I don't mind that. I've just got something new to learn. So that's fine. New nutrition system with recipes from different days, grades, and supplements. Oh my God, I've got ooh, there's a lot of learning. Okay, the learning curve just went up on this one. New care system, create a care recipe. Okay. Colors for good, bad, no imprint to run the game. Exposing theme settings, cool. Stats can be colored. Default yellow, okay. Scouting efficiency is up. That is great because it did take a long time, even with a great scout. Much more streamlined way to train. It makes it more efficient. I don't mind that the CPU can quote unquote cheat in terms of being able to train a little quicker and easier than us. I think honestly, a lot of the difficulty you can put into a game like this for the player to stop you just getting to a place of dominance early, which is what I think is the issue with dominance, by the way. If you build up to it over time and you get there, and then you stay there for a little bit before natural regression, I think that's a perfect kind of model. But a lot of games will have you, or be easier to figure out in a way where you become OP early, and then just never really fall off, and the AI just never catches up. I don't like just falsely adding difficulty for difficulty's sake, but I think it makes sense that we've got a more difficult path to get to power than the AI, because that will always keep them relevant, and we can always do the unpredictable and exploit weaknesses in the system, which the AI never does. So I don't mind that at all. I think that actually can work out quite well. Automated training will also use this system instead of detailed training. Yeah, so you're probably going to get a slightly weaker result if you do it that way rather than like min-maxing. But if you don't want to put the time in, you don't have to. So that makes a lot of sense. Better control when taking reins. I did think that was very simple, but I don't know how it would work anyway. That old system in the new race engine. So I'm not sure I could pinpoint the difference in those. We'll see. Encyclopedia updates. When other children went to school, player would get notifications of the trait gains. Okay, so not just your kids, but just in general, kids would give you updates, and you shouldn't really know or care about those kids in that way. Mainly for now, where the tracks can't go reverse. Not really sure what that means, but okay. I don't think it means like them running right to left on screen. I think just they flip the direction of the tracks and the art to like double the number of effective tracks you can see as backgrounds or something, maybe. A secondary sort could reveal the potential of the horse. I've seen that on a couple of screens. I tried not to like dwell too much on that, but I'm glad that is fixed. Revert to timescale, forwarding from 10 back to 4 to break the visuals. Okay. So it's slightly slower. The fastest speed is slightly slower. I would have preferred if another speed would have been introduced and leave that top speed. I know it would cause problem for some people, but you don't have to use it. If it's breaking visuals on the game and you need to go down to scale 4 or 5, then I prefer that to be a fast forward rather than an ultra speed. Capping everybody at a lower, highest speed you can get to, I feel punishes people for having better hardware instead of just making it more accessible to people without better hardware. Like I say, an extra thing in there I think would work better. But okay. Depends how quick it feels, but I do watch on ultra speed. Maybe the races are going to become more interesting, more interactive, even if you're not the jockey, and then I'm going to want to watch them more. And as a jockey, if that's got a bit more complex or a bit more interesting, a bit more interactive, then maybe I won't want to run those on higher speed anyway. So bringing it down won't matter so much. But I think definitely from what I saw, the way it was, and I didn't necessarily think that was going to change particularly. Maybe I'm wrong. We will see. But yeah, I think that's something that doesn't make as much sense for me. Race winnings showing the correct category. Okay, that's just some cleanup. Horses over 6 can gain condition with new training system. That's good. Yeah, because that's, especially if you're bringing in jumps, like, yeah, you need to rethink the aging model for horses, because it's built on flat racing and American racing in terms of the actual ages of horses. When you get to jumps racing, I don't know about harness racing, but jumps racing, 100%. You need older horses, medical history fixed to date, recovery column and medical fix, nice for that. Log printing less noisy, improving performance. There's a small narwhal-shaped Easter egg, a fortune teller Easter egg. Staff being worried sometimes, not sure what that means or how that would be implemented, but okay. 2 new 4K images to main menu and loading screens, more to come. Love that superfan Easter egg. Journalist asking questions sometimes, okay. If there's enough variance in those questions, good. If they're repetitive in a small number like Football Manager press conferences, they're just getting skipped or ignored. That's it. Quick save with Control S, or just press S and then quick save. Column width is persistent, so they should be the same. If you change it, reset them by right-clicking, reset width. That's absolutely brilliant. Love customization options. CPU training should happen monthly, more consistent. Instead of sudden spikes in skills, I like that. Obviously, they had they're refining these systems they're putting in place, and I love that. USI's issues in training. If you had too many problems, okay. When you lost control of the stable, you could not buy it back if you were unemployed. So I'm guessing, though, if you've got the money in your personal account, even if you're unemployed, you should be able to, and now are able to, buy a stable back. When saving the early schedule, don't reset pre-training and after-training programs to rest. Good. Schedule, then went to the training. They would not update before you went to the next day. Now they do. Okay. Brilliant. We're into the new year with these updates. We're still on 8.1. We've still got a decent way to go. Fix a crash. Fix save getting corrupted. Okay. Yep. Just good fixes. And then we're into 8.2. Button during race to see your bets. If you've forgotten kind of all your bets in the race, or if you've bet on a race, now you can see it. That's cool. Time trials in the training page. It'll be improved after they get the race engine working as it should. Yeah, this is getting more and more complicated, and it's definitely something to dig into, and I think we're going to enjoy learning that and digging in and seeing, can we min-max it? Do we want to min-max it? Which areas we want to min-max if we do? And how much of the challenge does that take away, and how much we want to automate? I think that for me is the balance. Because naturally, I want to min-max and break games. That's my natural inclination. But I do end up long-term having less fun, because the success comes a lot quicker and easier. So we'll just see how it plays out. But yeah, okay. Sprint training. Slowly changes preferred distance to shorter while pacing to longer. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, I guess it should. It should, as you become a better sprinter, really your strengths are going to go towards those shorter races, so your preferred distance will come down. It does make sense, and because your sprint's better, your pace needs to be longer, because yeah, it all makes sense. It's not something that I thought of when I first read. I was like, not fully grasping it. I think yeah, it gets there now. Ability to train staff, I love. It might be a small thing for other people. I love. Development is key for me, and developing horses and breeding to get better horses next year, and like that's always a core for these games. Now I can groom my successor. I can handpick who I want and see what traits they get, and kind of build them up as best I can as I build the stable up to hand it over. And now you've just added on training staff, getting young people who maybe aren't the best, but bringing them through, and yeah, I love that. Maybe someone's a pretty good stable hand, but they're an okay jockey, and as they're your stable hand and they're getting older, after a few years, you might be training them in jockey and actually make them your jockey, and just like build the narratives. I love that addition. I don't know how it's going to work, but I love that. Staff training, horse training results monthly, quarterly, yearly. That's fine. A number inputs, add spacing. Instead of 100,000 on all digits consecutive, they've got a space for rounding purposes for the thousands and millions and everything else, I guess. So, beautiful. Quick bet buttons at 25, 50, 75, and 100% of max bet. Race results show the odds. Estimated odds until bets have been generated. Okay. Automatic living options, assignment more efficient. One more 4K splash, an improved one. Okay, so there's, what, 3 now? And one of the initial 2 has been improved. Swap the show and place labels. They're in logical order. Standings bet labels work again. Betting currencies update. Race front currencies update. Stop gallop zones after the race. Basic hay was charged daily instead of monthly. Easter egg emails made a bit more rare. I don't mind that. And they removed person certifications. Not exactly sure what that was or is off the top of my head. A2-1. Emerge group and say if the forward transfer or not with the mare. If we bred with an outside man, it was sold. Player lost the 4. That's been fixed. Junior race is not shown with natural birthdays and aging. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I didn't foresee that being an issue, but I can understand why it was. When you introduced when you wanted horses to age up. The easy one would just keep it at January the 1st, of course, because it's much easier to calculate ages per race per date, because you only have to really do it once at the start of the year. Staff training migration works road saves. Move stud fee cap. Love that. Can now start with 0 cash. I think in customization you could, but this now adds it on top. Horse detail training only show. I'm house sitting. There is a cat, and it is loud and attention seeking. So if you do hear one in the background, as you may just have done, that is why. We've got our own stable cat, apparently. Yeah, I think customization wise you could start with 0. Horse detail training drop downs only show care nutrition has been activated. Okay, that makes sense with the new system. Food and care no work. Dates were not setting up correctly in the betting tables, and don't create the lethal whites at startup. A Shy Gold Awards give yearly awards for the fastest horses in each smile distance category. Okay. Ooh, 3 maturity stars. Yes. This adds to the breeding process. I've got nutrition, training, the new race engine, and now an addition to the breeding system. So I need to relearn everything. But I love that they're all being improved. That is wonderful. What is this? A couple of days ago? Yeah, okay. Early bloomer, average, and late bloomer. Determine how quickly they can reach their potential and how quickly it'll start deteriorating. Unsure how noticeable it should be. I'm not sure it should be shown. I think maybe it could be a scoutable thing where you give some vague language. Maybe this horse may be better earlier in his career, or this trainer feels that this horse is probably going to be developing quicker than other stablemates, or just something like that, where you get a little hint that, okay, it might be an early bloomer, but have those set up for like early and average, and then for average and late bloomers, you can have it, have messages then which like may not be the quickest to develop, or may take some time before we see the best from this horse, and have just average horses, like a mix of those messages. So you're never truly sure. If you pay attention to the development, you can be, but kind of reward that rather than just giving that out and making that that game a little bit more difficult and a little bit more unsure. Again, you can also gatekeep all these difficulty options like the scouting and breedability and all that. You can gatekeep all those by toggles and switches for, you know, what do you want a simplified model or not in the options. So, but yeah, I don't want this game to be super difficult where it's not easy to play for new people, but for long-term people and people who have learned enough, I do feel if you do make it a little too easy, like other games, then you get people like me who aren't going to be as excited to play as much because we know we're going to win. And there's a number of games, like, as much as I love it, the moment I get my game head on and not my narrative head on, Football Manager, Out of the Park Baseball, Franchise Hockey Manager, 3 games I love, 3 sports management. I can get success with anybody inside a couple of seasons, no matter how bad they are, how bad the situation is. I can kind of break those games mechanically to the point where I just know how to get success, and there's just no long-term fun and enjoyment from those games. And then CK3, very easy to do the same in. EU4, a little bit more difficult, but for a few nations that I generally like to play, again, that was always that case. Civ 5, XCOM 2, a lot of strategy games, 4X games, and sports management games, status orders, like they fall into that where I can pretty much break the game really early by playing a certain way or choosing different options. I don't just want this to be that because I think this is so much more. Yeah, FIFA, Madden, etc. as well. They all fall into that category. I'm not the only one. A lot of games do that, so I need to kind of force myself to stay in a narrative headspace rather than a game headspace. Otherwise, we just get so much success early on. And sometimes that's fun. I still do things that way, but I don't want this to default to that kind of game, so I want a little bit more difficulty in places. So, yeah. I think I've waffled on about that long enough, but dynamic staff capacity based on leadership, assistant manager, and head trainer's leadership. You know what? I'm on board. I'm on board with that. That's fine. Absolutely fine. 1 to 10 horses per staff for trainers, caregivers, jockeys, scouts, depending on management teams. Yeah. It's not about how good the stable hand is. It's about how good the management structure above him is at making schedules, at splitting time efficiently, about not just, not just letting them handle it, but making sure, yeah, you need to go and take care of these 4 horses today. Not just the 2 you'd get around, because, that's kind of what the management structure is there for, is efficiency and kind of to just let the people do what they do the best and nurture that and grow that and develop that side of things, but like manage it ultimately. Empower those people to be the best they can be. And so I like the fact that we're getting a mechanic for that. Quick loading game, Control L, so use a control bar. I'm guessing if I pressed S or whatever to bring up the context menu, there might be a quick load there as well. So we got quick save and now quick load, which makes sense. Give up for adoption and interaction for children. Wow, okay. Yeah, there's so many narrative things in this game that I think, yeah, it could be cool. Dialing back quickly as well, another toggle in the options we could have, and I would love, is something from Fallout back in the day where you could choose whether it's like, what did they call it? A wild wasteland, a wacky wasteland, or something like that, where you could choose whether to bump up the craziness in the world a little more and some of the random factors and events and whatnot. And in this case, I would say, yeah, we've dialed back the Easter eggs, But if there was an option to make them more frequent, or a slider, off, some, lots, all, we can kind of customize the game in that way too. I think that would be kind of cool, especially if we get to the point where we can mod to add even more events in, and how repeatable those events could be. Like that's the kind of stage I'm getting. I think the base game's so good, and the stuff they've already got planned is so good. I'm just thinking of what steps on top of that, even if it's not them, but the mod community after that. But yeah, that could also be another toggle. And a lot of things I question or suggest are usually things I think could be toggles rather than just default base game behavior. But yeah, adoption interaction for children is just wild. And yeah, CK3, right? You don't get the air you want, you find a way to get rid of them. So in this game, you can adopt one out and start working on the next one until you get a trait you like. It's brutal, but it's yeah. The gamer in me kind of sees big plans in that one. Narrative as well sees a little something in there. I like it. I like it. Finish time precision, nice. Auto move staff without my training if they filled their role potential. Okay, so when they hit their max, they don't just try and keep training. I would say that maybe, I don't know. I was going to say maybe once they hit their max, they kind of regress back to like 95% unless they keep training in that. Because like real world, if you don't keep practicing and doing something, then you do kind of lose those skill sets a little bit. Maybe that would just be if it's not their highest rated role or the role they're performing that could be introduced. I think that's a level of complexity and feature creep that maybe doesn't need to be there. Just first thing out of my head. In that I do think about these things way too much sometimes. Just trying to help develop the game into the best it can be. So yeah, have your say in the comment section whether you kind of think the same way I do with those or not. But yeah, interesting one. Fix a crash at the start of harness races. Fix too many inches of hoof step sounds when harness racing. Horses slowing down. Catching up to the car at the start of a harness race. Horses not being ordered correctly on a harness race. And opening closing gate after race has started. No flying cars allowed. It says cars. I'm guessing that's also harness racing. So they definitely went and examined the harness racing, which is good because that's an area I haven't really gone into yet. Migrations always ran for care and feed, overwriting custom ones if there's a new migration. Glad they fixed that. Removed the unused training effect table. Okay. And then the last update where we're at, which I think was, oh my god, that was today. So, hey, gameplay options, you can now turn off violence, legal drama, and relationship drama. Also removing those options from the UI. More customization options are never gonna be criticized. I probably won't turn them off unless they become repetitive, boring, or I'm playing more of a gamer, let's break the game kind of save. But definitely for a narrative save, I would just be keeping those on 100%. Disable slider sound in new game, rolling personality stats, toggling custom mode. Yeah, that could get annoying, I guess. Updates add amount when changing amount. Added note to color emoji font as a fallback. Okay. Might fix some Linux issues. Tooltip for no cache in interaction is a bit clearer. Cache needs to be on personal account. Okay. Old save not including staff training courses and training not having an effect on horse stats. That seems to be a big one. Absolutely phenomenal. Okay, there's a lot to break down there. I feel that it took a while, but we got through it. And yeah, there's so addition to the breeding, the overhaul of the race UI is ongoing, but it has started. There's staff training. Horses training has changed slightly. The breeding, as I say, we can adopt out theirs that don't work out, and yeah, okay. Oh boy. And yeah, new artwork. So okay, let's go new. New game. We will need to generate quick-witted and content. Don't mind that. Don't mind that. And we are going to look at harness racing. Gameplay options are pretty much the same. And there you go. So, violence, legal, and relationship drama. Sweet. Gonna turn that off because that's just gonna be annoying if we've got staff members in. Again, this is more of a test than anything else. And you can see those spaces there. Absolutely fantastic. Let's get a few starting horses. So we've moved this down to the bottom. We've got the loading bar and everything. But it also stays out of the way of the art. And there's the other art screen. Okay, so there were 3 screens, right? Main menu, loading. Yeah, so we got the 3 different images. One of which has been improved from its initial. That looks like there's 4 to me. Where's that third one? Was that third one there previously as like part of a background, maybe? It looks a little more familiar, but it also looks a lot like my thumbnails. So it looks like maybe there's 4 different 4 different images I can see. But again, they all kind of sit in this element of old world a little bit, where things haven't fully automized and whatnot. I love that. I absolutely love that, though. It fits so well with the rest of the game. It just looks cool and interesting, and I love that. Secrets, yeah. Oh, there's so much to this game now. It's just fun. I mean, now we got reasons for nutrients and stuff, right? So, really, I mean, breeding, and then what? Scouting would be the only other thing to really test. I mean, I guess we should really look at everything. So, if it's been implemented, apart from the investment banking, which we can't actually do, I feel we just kind of get everything. So in case we need that, that's fine. Extra stable shouldn't really be needed, right? Shouldn't be needed. Okay, so that's unlocked everything there, basically. We just spent half of our money to fully max out, which is fine. That's cool. Okay, so auto. Let's go, and you can see it's set up. I don't think there's any real new things anywhere crazy here. Got a solid 4-year-old stallion here. Might as well just like send in and try and find, right? I had a little bit of an issue with my mouse there, so bear with me. But yeah, looks like we got some horses here that could definitely be decent. What's your scouting level? 41%. Breeding ability, excellent elite, could have very good potential, right? I think that just makes sense to kind of try and see. 27% could be really bad, but also is so cheap. Probably because it's not going to be a breeder, but it could just be a really good racer moving forward. And we could really easily sell foals for pretty much the same amount as that one, even if it's a bad breeder that we bought that one for. So I think like there's a good chance, and 10% here promising to elite. I mean, I like everything here. Again, just seems so cheap that I feel like that just makes sense at some level. To me, that just makes sense. We've gone ahead and hired a bunch of people just off the rip. So yeah, let's have a look at our horses then. So yeah, we did just buy in a good horse, and it looks like we got some not so good horses. So there's no point in yeah. Okay, well, I don't know if that actually did register for auction. It did. There was just no like yes or change of options on here. So I'd rather this note says remove from auction rather than register because it's already been registered. Because I don't know straight away. Dominant white. Late bloomer. Yeah, it doesn't look amazing right now, but his 3 could be a late bloomer. I think that's all fine. So let's make sure these 2 are being scouted. Don't know how good the scouts are, of course, but yeah. Let's go ahead and do that. So training. Okay. So we got sprinting, weighted, pace, wellness, mental, swimming, rest day. So balance growth good for young horses, rest for recovery, intelligence and temperament through mental focus, strength and stamina for power, light recovery. We got speed and acceleration and swimming recovery. Great for recovery by building stamina. So yeah, sprint specialist and swimming with a little bit maybe of power training mixed in. So I'd go heavy mental and sprint as my main 2, I think, with some swimming and power as my secondary, and then mix in some recovery as needed throughout the week. I think that's how I would build it. But okay. Balanced year. I don't mind that. Yeah. We're not diving too much into it. Okay, this is new for me then. Nutrition. Alfalfa hay. Estimated daily cost per horse, £3.60. I don't mind that. Concentrates. This is where it's going to get more crazy. That's 25 quid. And the supplements then 31 quid there. So, okay, so Alfalfa Hay, Racing Concentrate, and Elite Complex looks like the best you can do. That training effect will be 12%. 10.8, 11.6, 8.4. Okay, so the Alfalfa Hay is not only the cheapest, but it also has the biggest impact on training as well. So training, straw only, performance be. So that's performance plus. Yeah, I mean, Elite Diet 31 is what I've got set up there anyway. So, yeah, okay, just Elite Diet then. Cool. Care. I mean, Elite Care. Why isn't Elite Care the best then? Because we've got Royal Treatment. Okay, so a little different in terms of the nomenclature there. But 24k gold recovery wrap. Hand applied gold leaf wrap. Peak decadence. Okay. But does that really need to increase training? Because it's a little unrealistic for sure. Uh, yeah, raw pampering, golden infused oil massage. Yeah, I mean, I guess royal treatment in that case and trials. Okay, so we send them to trials, and it looks like our fastest horse is Ludwig Isaac in a sprint. Over a mile, though, Crystal Cove Combustion and Intermediate, they are the fastest. And when we get to long, it's Jet Snickers. By the time we get to extended, Ludwig Isaac comes back out on top, which is really interesting. It's really interesting. So that might just be the fastest horse we've got. It's by far the best sprinter. And then it's kind of okay everywhere. Not great, not really bad. But everything else falls off a cliff, and it kind of stays relevant. That's really, really interesting. I love that addition there. Okay. Balanced year, elite diet, royal treatment, apply to all, auto balance everyone. Quickest and easiest setup way of doing things for sure. And we're going to look at how this all works out. But yeah, let's have a look then. So in my race, we are probably the third, fourth best horse, depending on what these two are like. So we got a shot, I would say. Everybody's pretty much on distance. Okay. Let's take the reins and let's get into our first race on this new system. And okay. I mean, It doesn't really seem like there's any change here whatsoever, no matter what I do. I'm trying to like save my stamina to go up to the distance. Is it supposed to be this way? I don't know. There's no way of knowing, but there's the bets there. Cool. Yeah. So, huh. Is stamina even going to matter? We're at 0 stamina. We falling back at all? No. Guess we're coming in third, guys. Guess we're coming in third. Barely. Hey, we came. Imagine that. We came in third. Okay. Um. Super interesting. We should get buried in this one. We should get buried. These new loading images are just great, you know? And ninth. Again, there's not really any difference in this one, so okay. And we come dead last when I skip towards the end of the race. Yeah, we'll say that doesn't really look like it's anything there at all. Yeah, 1.1 million, 2.78 for two bad horses. Well, not bad. I mean, really, they were bad horses. Ludwig isn't even that great a horse. Crystal Cove looks to be the main threat we're going to have. And then we've got stuff here. So, yeah, let's give a bonus. Staff Recognition Legendary Party. We are... Well, we Rock Meadows. I was going to say, I don't actually know what we are. I don't think we're going to be good anywhere. So those are the new smile distance records. Humble Haven is a stable of the year. The head trainer takes it. Felix takes his success. Ryder as a stable hand. Being a stable hand is somehow their manager and takes that award. And then the divisionals here. Princess Zephyr seems to be the best. And so I don't see them being amazing. But again, a lot of these fairly unscouted, but they don't look particularly interesting to me. Daisy Astro looks okay. And the Statman for the worst overall horse kind of looks okay. Very low speed for sure, but like, yeah, that's an interesting one for sure. That's a very interesting one for sure. I was going to say, I'm guessing maybe we don't get our horses, but we got a response back finally. So it's really interesting because, yeah, we had offers in And I'm guessing the horse values went up. Let's put 804. And yeah, I mean, 850, why not? That's fine for those. But we did get Pop Ebony, which is sold by the Top Racing stable. So there is that. Scouting. There we go. I don't need you scouted. Think that's all good. So yeah, I think it's just, again, Royal, Elite, Balanced, apply to all. But we do have now an extra horse which should be pretty good and able to eventually be worth a lot more and earn quite well. We'll see in terms of breeding towards the end of things. And there we go. We get our other two horses with the ultra high ability and potential for their age. We'll see kind of how accurate that is. But take one off you and take one off you. So they're both 4 out of 5. So there we go. They're both 3 out of 3. And that just means a vet. And Elias there. So Pop is a vet. You're a vet. Elias, good. Everybody is being scouted. Everybody's in a solid place. Skip to my race. I've got 2. Gonna simulate that race. Ludwig wins. I wouldn't have thought they would have, but okay. And yeah, it's just into a grade 3. A cat? Yeah, we can keep the cat. We can keep the cat. Of course we can keep the cat. Oh, it's a nice little white one. Yeah. There's plenty of races. They're being auto-booked, so we don't need to do too much. So yeah, it looks like the races for the harnesses, at least, kind of don't really change a ton. And here we go. One of the first little journalist questions. Enjoy a good rivalry story. Care to weigh any competition. Being compared to Misty Band Ranch. So they're 1, 2.5. Okay. One top of the, you know. They possibly got a good young filly. They got a few other decent horses. 1, 2.5. What are we? What are 2, 3? Our best horses are pretty much better than theirs. They've got more volume for sure. They possibly have better stats on their staff member. I'll make a respectful comment there. Be foolish to make predictions. We'll give it our all. Yeah, sure, why not? I don't mind a little bit of rivalry, but like, it's fine. 15-year breeding contract for all Xerox horses. I mean, if Beetlejuice comes out to be anything, That's not bad. Piano Ghost wouldn't be bad either. Yeah, I don't think so. Readers seem engaged. Solid coverage should raise profile a bit. Okay, so it's about public perception as well as that stable's perspective, I guess. So I don't mind that. I think that's fun. I think that's interesting, right? It's kind of cool. And here we go. Crystal Cove and Ludwig are in here. I think they got a shot, and Ludwig comes second. Crystal Cove just not really performing as we would want. But yeah. I mean, that's really interesting. So Pop should make a good breeder. Crystal Cove should make a good breeder. It's just likely to be a bay or a bay done. Boat mango. Hey. Okay. That's fine. So yeah, Crystal Cove. I guess we don't have a contract with anyone, so we can't breed, even though probably should be able to. We probably should be able to, but okay, that's fine. They want Ludwig Eisvig for 1.2 million. I'm going to say yes, just because I don't think the horse is incredible. And I don't know really what's going to happen to it, but I don't think we miss it in particular. Queen Ivy came fourth, so we're running low on winners. I think our only winner actually is one that came in a race where we were heads up, two of our horses against each other. So there is that, and yeah, Crystal Cove does seem to be a little bit more of an issue. Data tables all set up. Forgot to check here for any like new things. I can enable and disable the journalist issues. Yeah, that's all fine. Enable random events. Yes, we can turn them on or off. There's no way to make them kind of have more, I guess, but that's fine. To stop our own race, no. And then quarterly reports for those. I think that's the best way for me to handle those. Okay. Yeah. So I shouldn't really stop for a lot. Let's try immediate, but it doesn't really do anything. Tax audit. Handle it myself. Oh, back taxes. Fine. A few more random little events. Make the world breathable and you know, that is interesting. So But yeah, let's just get through to the end of the season and kind of see how well the horses may have developed. It looks like a few people have gained a little bit of skill here. That's not bad. Training. Looks like intelligence is lacking. But other people seem to be doing okay, and Pop Ebony seems to be gaining a decent amount of things at least there. Uh, so it looks like a stalker kind of situation. Arrived with a homemade cake shaped like a horse. We did not eat the cake. I drove 6 hours to watch Crystal Cove combustion train, stayed in my car with binoculars, completely normal behaviour. Security guard and I are friends now. Well, he knows my name from telling me to leave. I've started learning horse whispering in hopes that one day I can communicate directly with Crystal Cove combustion. So far, I've only scared a pony. Forever in your corner, Deborah Gallup Smith, distance admirer. Deborah Gallup Smith. Okay. She's not in the game as a person. That would have been interesting. That's a random event, all right. Ooh. Yeah, that is interesting. That is interesting. They're offering Willow Creek Spindle. I mean, no, thank you. Strange lady calling herself Gypsy Lee visited, concerned about things. Last night I had a dream. In this dream I saw Queen Ivy Ridge at the Majestic Monarch's Plate. The dream turned on nightmare. There's pain, there was suffering. You must not let this horse race. I do not share my visions lightly. This one's too powerful to ignore. Scratch the horse. Trust in the unseen. Looks like we have got up here the 3.5 stars. Interesting. Now all betting tips, Jasper. Okay. So Wild Quotidian is a better horse. Okay, well, I mean, let's ignore the warning and see. It could go really badly for us, but let's see. Seems really happy. You heeded my warning about Queen Ivy Ridge. I don't think I did, right? Because we did race, so maybe that isn't kind of going according to plan there, but that's fine. Absolutely fine. It's nice that those events are actually in game. There we go. So again, everybody's getting slightly better. That's not bad. Everybody's kind of looking meh, I guess. I thought I'd applied this to everybody. I guess I didn't in the end. I guess I didn't. A friend in finance shares this. Okay, I mean, we could get cautious, we could get greedy, could gain money. We don't get much there. So yeah, we're 2 months off the end of the season then. I want to quickly look at what the horses look like. Also take a look at our staff and kind of figure out, because with the best stuff in, the best feed, the best nutrition, the best care, etc., we don't know if we've got the best staff. We don't think that we do. Mares for you. I mean, that could be tempting if Gandisa turns out to be anything. I'm going to say yes. Because then, right, we should go straight to the breeding. And we can just pick out one of their mares. Or actually, it's not one of their mares. I mean, why wouldn't we just do all of their mares? Right, they're all coming to us, I think. We just paid 8.5 million. We probably should just be breeding with them all. Let's go to the next month. Report that email as spam. And then next day, so we can go forward day by day. Right towards the end of the year. Okay, staff. So, our manager's terrible. Our assistant is great. We've got a phenomenal scout. The rest aren't exactly what we'd hope for. So, okay. So, oldest horse, Crystal Cove Combustion. So, still ungraded. Don't think he's an amazing horse. Didn't look great. Came close to a grade 3, but didn't get there. I think that's one I would auction away. Both these did turn out to be 3.5 stars, which, to be honest with you, is pretty good. Neither one ended up picking up a grade either, but breeding on Frank reproduction is excellent. Temperament's really good. Intelligence really high. Third and a couple of juveniles. Not really an amazing horse, but not bad either, I would say. And then Queen Ivy Ridge, pretty much the same, but not quite as good right now. Still has that potential. Came second in a couple of juveniles. Low intelligent, bad temperament, bad breeding. So, yeah, Frank is definitely the one you'd kind of rest your laurels on a bit more. But early on, Queen Ivy Ridge does seem to be a good horse as well. So 2 3-year-old fillies for sure. And Pop Ebony turned out to be a decent potential horse as well, with exceptional breeding ability. Again, little 3-year-old filly who looks okay. So I think that's kind of okay in general. And yeah, we are doing okay. The intelligence does drop out. Let's make a little bit of money. Oh no, to spend a bit of money, sorry, on a little bonus. Don't expect us to be involved with these just yet at all. So Humble Haven, again, top stable. Quest Dyer. Algernon McLean, best jockey, okay. And then Humble Haven's manager again. And yeah, we are just not involved. So Jasper, and of course they don't look good. They're not well scouted, but they don't look good. Kismet is average. Duststorm average. Sorcerer Eclipse looks bad. Xanadu Marble looks okay-ish. Dodd Cedarwood and Jet Hershey, they don't look amazing either. So Xanadu Marble is one of the best horses we've actually seen. And Sorcerer Eclipse is the horse of the year, which, yeah, kind of does not seem right. Okay, so Bolt Mango, this is the one we bred from R2, Pop Ebony and Crystal Cove Combustion. I don't know why I'm struggling to say that name. Looks like that one's a bust. Looks like that one's a bit of a bust. We bred with Gladiator Proud, who's not got great breeding, and potential isn't as high, but we've seemed to have at least got a better one there. Maximum ability's pretty good on him. So we got Kiwi Piney Woods. Not great. Sorcerer Eclipse, which I think was the horse of the year, if I'm not mistaken, right? Absolutely terrible. Stormy Antoinette, we don't know the maximum ability of that well, but could just be decent. 100% could be decent. Whimsical Allegro, not great. Z7, not great. So, yeah, I mean, you kind of look at it and yeah, Crystal Cove, of course, gonna be sold. Doesn't look amazing. But Pop Ebony, well, I'm transferring not being able to pronounce the last word of your name to her name. That's going to serve me well. Pop Ebony, Frank Reproduction, and Queen Ivy Ridge. They all look really, really solid. Maybe Stormy Antoinette, maybe Z7 are okay, but not great. And Maverick Expressionist looks like a stud of the future. So, yeah. I'm a bit disappointed that Bolt Mango didn't work out. I gotta be honest. Yeah, can I do multiple for auction? I think I can by doing it this way, right? There you go. So, I think that works. Next event is the auction. We've got 4 horses to sell. So, 900k for those. And Quotation Minstrel for 2 million. I mean, I guess there's definitely a chance that could have been a good horse, but I feel like, yeah, that's got to be Sorcerer Eclipse horse. So that makes sense there. That's just reputation, right? That's what that is. That's what that is. Okay. That's what that is. Don't mind that. Training. That's balanced growth. Complete rest there. Condition goes down. Sprite. But what's weighted? I guess that's power training, right? Because we got rest, swimming, mental. Wellness looks like it could be recovery. More recovery based. Unless that's just a mix. That's probably a mix of them, to be fair. Pace? I'm not sure what pacing would be. I mean, I guess that would be swimming recovery, right? For the stamina. Maybe? I mean, we can give it a try, right? We can give it a try. Um, so, yeah. So I can clear and fill all right. Yeah, that's the best way of doing that one. Try it. And boom, that's what we're on. So now when I go into here, we can set everyone to try it on Elite Diet and Royal Treatment. Auto balance all those out, and that would be possibly a much better development strategy. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. And then yes, scouting is pretty much. Let's just remove everybody, and then make sure we're scouting all our horses as much as possible. I was going to say Crystal Cove. Maybe able to be scouted a bit more, but like ultimately, no, they're all fine. Is a vet the good one? Nope, it's a less. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I'd want to switch all of these over to Elias Stewart. And really, I mean, honestly, everybody here should really be fired. So, in fact, they should be fired too. Let's face facts, we want good staff. So we've got a scout and an assistant. Feels like that didn't recalculate and repopulate that table. Yeah, so let's look at someone that could be a good head trainer. And then we need at least one, maybe two trainers. I don't know. I don't know what I just did there. What did I hire you as? Veterinary. Yeah. That was not the plan. That was not the plan. Okay. How do I convert you over? Not sure I can. Yeah, no, she doesn't want to join because of that. And I understand that. That's absolutely fine. A little annoying that it did that, but I did miss click. So only unemployed. Good trainers. So it's a trainer. Really good vets. Let's get you as a vet. Use a farrier. You as stable hands. So why can't I do it there? I've just done it again. I've clicked on something and just not really worked out right. Not really worked out. See, the negotiate screen doesn't seem to be working in a number of ways. That's fine. Head trainer, 2 jockeys, scout, and stable hand. So quick hire as a stable hand. Quick hire a scout. Everyone looks good here. So a head trainer and 2 jockeys. I thought I had a head trainer. I do. She looks terrible, but it wasn't showing on there at all, which I find interesting. So she is the head trainer. It's not showing up there. And although it's showing that she's really good at head training, I know her scouting knowledge is low, but like it's not showing her as good at all, which is slightly worrying because everybody else it is. So I don't know. I don't know. There's a couple of jockeys in, so it's just not showing head trainer, and it's not showing her as good at it, but everybody else is kind of where it needs to be and whatnot, and that's fine. So stable, training, auto balance, all of those. Cool. Cool. And then I mean, yeah, it's just get rid of that guy. Is this gonna be anything? 7th, and finish dead last at the end of the day. So yeah, that's just something that's a little broken, sadly. So we are in this one. Is there anyone interesting in this auction we might want to take a look at? Potential 4-year-old stallion, kind of on the cheap. I mean, sure, let's take a look at the auctions.
Who's ready to advance?
I'm ready to advance.
It is built for speed. Can you give a round of applause for our successful bidder? Yep, we got a new bid.
Okay.
We got a new bid. Can you give a round of applause for our successful
I should
bidder?
probably be about
Come on,
as high as it goes, right?
Yeah, come on. We got a little interest now. Let's advance. Going twice, last chance. Well, so congratulations on your acquisition.
Thank you.
Yep, we got a new bid on the floor.
Okay, I was going to say the voice line seemed to pair up a lot better. there, maybe not quite as much. So we saw Crystal Cove, who we know is a 6-year-old, isn't great. Is a good breeder, but didn't breed well. And we spent less than that for a 2-year younger horse. That's quite possibly gonna be better, and just looks like a phenomenal horse for us. Maybe, possibly, could be, should be, right? There we go. Let's get everybody set up correctly there. So yeah, we'll see what the scouts kind of come back and say. I definitely think that was the right move to kind of make, and that gives us a potential stud for these fillies. And so I'm just going to come back towards the end of the year, and we'll kind of see where we go. I'm going to probably set up breeding a month or two from the end. And yeah, I'll be back when that's done. Okay, so end of the season. We've done our breeding. Got a few more contracts. Got some different staff members. Got an absolute ton of scouts. A couple of them retired. Everybody's really good, apart from ourselves. And Beth McNeil apparently is just, I don't know, not that good, even though she was supposed to be pretty damn good. So I'm not sure where the head trainer, who was supposed to be a good head trainer, isn't a good head trainer. I'm a little confused by that. Everything else kind of worked out. We've got a lot of good young horses in general. Again, I think we can just sort of, auction out the horses which just aren't going to work, and just focus in on 3.5 stars, and everything else. We've got a lot of horses coming in. In terms of growth of horses, not really too much difference with the new staff members, so I'm not entirely sure how that worked out. If I'm honest, not really sure. Okay, so it seems to be not simulating past this date. Okay, so interesting. Maybe because we don't have an auction this year, so that does seem to be the case. That does indeed seem to be the case. So there's additions. Hype them up. Hype up the falls. Hype up the falls. Seems like we're talking to different people about the same thing in general. And yeah, again, just most of these horses could be okay. That's the thing. They could be okay. So we definitely want to get them scouted. And then just take the risk that those two aren't going to be very good, and just dump everyone else off that we don't want. I mean, register them for an auction? No. Skip the auction. 4 horses that are allowed to race. get a little bit of money from that. But yeah, in general, I feel like the game still plays out the same way. Harness racing, okay, the race engine doesn't seem to be working on this. I don't really see a ton of differences between harness and flat, unless there's different stats we need to look for. But in general, it all feels very familiar and safe and easy to kind of accommodate these new changes as well, on top of what we know. But yeah, I feel pretty good about where things are quickly if we do spend the most money. So if you do want an easier time, just want some fun playthrough, jump straight into breeding for good horses and kind of speed run it in that way, I think you can definitely still get that. I'm very interested to see how the whole training mechanics plays out, whether or not the obfuscation for breeding trait is there or not moving forward, and how the race engine, which, to be honest with you, is 99% likely going to determine whether this game flies or dies, how that continues to develop over time as well. Because I think that's really, like I say, that's the key feature. That's the one that needs the most work. That's the one that's probably the most hyped, and everything else builds off. But surrounding that, because that isn't there yet, surrounding that, everything seems really cool and fits well. It's thematic. A lot of it's customizable. A lot of it is toggleable. A lot of it seems to open up potential for modability. At the end of the day, I hope that is the case. But yeah, I'm a fan of the changes. Like I say, I haven't really played in a month. A lot has happened in that month for me personally, but also within the game, and it does seem to be that, you know, we're in a solid position in general. So I feel pretty good about it. I'm pretty happy. And yeah, we'll see. So, okay. Okay, prepare for blowback. That's fine. We can get rid of those horses. Get a bunch of money. So yeah, we're really looking at now just a few more horses to sell, right? At the end of the day, these 6. And then we'll see with these 4-year-olds. Were any of these my horses? So no. So Ocean Breeze, that doesn't seem like a good horse, but does have possibly elite breeding. The filly came from Queen Ivy Ridge, so that is one of ours. Only got fair breeding, but that seems to have kind of done well. And then this possibly amazing filly with excellent to elite breeding. That's what you want to see, and that is from Easter Drizzle, an excellent breeder from Nunez Equine Center, who looks okay there. So yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, they are all kind of good breeders. So obfuscating that might make it a little more challenging, a little more interesting longer term. But getting that behind an option, I think, also might work well. So let me know how you feel in the comments section down below about these new changes, about the direction of the game. What do you like? What don't you like? What do you think is missing? What needs work on next? Harness racing versus flat racing. Is there enough of a difference? I'm sure there will be long term, but is there enough right now? And that's probably the argument against putting jumps in. But I know for a lot of people that'll open up to a wider audience, especially when you add in the real life races and you get the chance to run the Grand National and the Kentucky Derby. And, you know, I don't know what the big harness race is, but I'm sure there is one. But all those kind of big races that we've come to love over the years, and some of the new ones like the Everest and the Saudi Cup and whatnot, like there's all different kinds of things around there. So I think that will add another layer onto those. But is there enough variance in terms of what the horses need? between the current disciplines we've got, I don't know. We will see. Maybe they develop at different ages as well, same as flat to jumps. I think that would make things more interesting. But I'm very impressed, again, by the changes that have been added. I think they sounded more complex than they are. They're a little easier to get a grips with than I thought they might be, which is always a good sign. Because I think they do add an extra level of customization and difficulty, which is to be welcome. But as I say, have your say, comment section down below. While you're there, please do like and subscribe for the algorithm. Thumbs up some comments, reply to some comments. The algorithm's huge. We're trying to grow the community. And I'll see you next time. Until then, take care, stay safe. All the very best to each and every one of you. More series, more games, more on this coming soon as well. But hey, it's been a while. We're back. We're here to stay, and we're hitting the ground running, back in the saddle one more time. I'll see you soon.